Very good evening. Today we are doing Shri Sai Satcharita Parayana. Thank you for joining me. Today we have to slightly prepone the session because there's something else come up. So apologies for that. And in case of any changes, we'll always keep you informed well in advance. Once again, thank you so much for joining the session. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha, Om Shri Saraswataya Namaha, Om Shri Guru Dattatreya Namaha, Guru Brahma, Om Shri Mahalakshmi Namaha, Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Sai Satcharita, the life and teachings of Shri Sai Baba. Chapter 2, the purpose of the book, naming of the author. My obeisance to Shri Ganesh, to Shri Saraswati, and Shri Guru Maharaj, to the family deity, to Shri Sita Ramachandra, my most humble obeisance. I bow in reverence to the most venerable Guru, Shri Sai Nath. Invocation of the divine has ended in the preceding chapter. The family gods and the Sadguru have been propitiated. The seed has been sown of Sai's life story. Let us now deal with the purpose of writing this book. Who needs most to read this work, and the connection of the work to the subject of the book will now be stated briefly, which will also introduce the listeners without effort to the book itself. In the first chapter, we saw how Baba, to the great surprise of the villagers, used the device of grinding wheat to destroy the epidemic of cholera. As I heard of these marvelous leelas of Sai, my heart flooded with joy and love, which has burst forth in the form of this poetic composition. So I thought I should describe, to the best of my ability, the blessed deeds of Sai, which will be instructive to the devotees and will expiate their sins. I must say here that without the grace of the Guru, one cannot write any life story about them, nor even be able to narrate the divine leelas. It is only through the grace. We are just an instrument of the divine, where the divine chooses the ones to write about them or narrate their life stories. These are all leelas. Play because it's a sweet divine experiences to understand what is the truth in this world. What is spirituality all about, and why do you need to understand spiritual? What is the need of a guru? Why these saints incarnate in this world, and what do they do? What is their purpose? So all these things are very beautifully explained in this Sai Satcharita, a very beautiful life story about Sai Baba. So I thought I should describe, to the best of my ability, the blessed deeds of Sai, which will be instructive to the devotees and will expiate their sins. As you listen, in this verse, what it's mentioned is that as you listen to these beautiful stories, you're not only attaining liberation, it is a way to attain liberation, but also you're going to redeem yourself by expiating the karmas. When you listen to the divine glories and even live one word of that in your life, and it makes a big difference in today's day and age, you will attain, it is equivalent to attaining liberation. And therefore, I have undertaken to write this very sacred life of Sai by commencing the writing of these stories, which make for happiness in this life and in the life hereafter. I must say this, my Guruji, Krishna Guruji, has been telling me that I need to give a satsang, but I always felt I'm not capable, I don't have knowledge. He said, when it is your Guru's ordained, why do you think you don't have knowledge? The words are of his wisdom. I am only an instrument through which these teachings are being imparted. So today here I am, have just mustered the courage to sit in front of you and narrate this beautiful life story about Sai Baba. Let us dwell and deep dive into the nectar of this beautiful teachings and see how we could make a difference in our own life. Life of a saint is a guide to the path of righteousness. It is neither nyaya, epistemology, nor takshashastra, logic. Hence, to one worthy of a saint's grace, nothing would be strange or surprising. And so, my prayer to my listeners is, come and share in this joy, for great is the good fortune of him who is always engaged in listening to these sacred stories in the company of the virtuous. If I am not able to sketch the picture of a most intimate friend, a long-standing companion, whose company I have enjoyed day and night, how then can I write the life of a saint? I, who know not fully even my own true heart or mind, how can I faultlessly describe the thoughts in a saint's mind? In trying to determine the true nature of the self, all the four Vedas fell silent. How will I know for certain your true nature, O Sai? First, one must become a saint oneself. Only then can the saints be fully understood. How then can I describe the saints? And this, my own unworthiness, I already know full well. One may measure the volume of water of the seven great seas. The wide expanse of the sky may even be covered, but never can the saints be comprehended by the human mind. This is so absolutely true. We all think we know too much. We have knowledge, but the knowledge we carry is about the mundane world. Spiritual knowledge or the knowledge about the divine is never understood by the human canon understanding. It is far beyond that. So here today, let us together, as part of this satsang, let us enjoy and understand what is this truth all about? What is spirituality? Why the saints? Why a guru? How do we live a righteous life? Let us dwell in this and let us purify our own life. In my heart, I know that I am but an abject human being, but Baba's boundless power and glory creates in me an irrepressible desire to sing, which is uncontrollable. Glory to you, O Sai, who are the repose of the poor and the meek. Unfathomable is your love, which simply cannot be described. Be gracious to me, your humble servant. I sincerely wish to write this account of your life, but I am afraid that I will be biting off more than I can chew. Save me from the world's ridicule, I pray. And yet, why should I have any fear? For Jnaneshwar Maharaj himself said that those who write the lives of saints endear themselves to God. And it is that same God who has kindled the inspiration in my heart to write. Hence, dull-witted though I am, he knows best how to have his own work accomplished. This is exactly my feeling. I said, I don't have knowledge. How can I describe or explain or expound on this? But I know for sure it is my Guru's grace. The words are of his wisdom, which will flow through my mouth. I am nothing but a conduit or an instrument in the Lord's hand. In whatever manner the devotees resolve to serve them, it is really the saints themselves who get the service done through the devotees. The inspiration flows from the saints. Devotees are but the instrument. In short, it is Sai who is getting his own life narrated through an ignorant fool like me. This is the glory of this story which commands our respect. Sages and saints, or even God himself, narrates his own story by placing his hand of benediction on the head of him whom he chooses as an instrument. As for instance, in the Sheikh year 1700, Mahipati was similarly inspired so that sadhus and saints had their lives written by him and his services accepted. Service was similarly accepted by them at the hands of Das Ganu in the Sheikh year 1800 by making him write the lives of later saints, which were purifying and ennobling for all. Just as Bhakta Vijay and Sant Vijay, Bhakta Leelamrit and Sant Leelamrit are the four compositions of Mahipati Das Ganu Mahipati. Das Ganu has also written two others. Of these latter, one is called Bhakta Leelamrit and the other Santa Katamrit, both of which deal with saints and devotees who have come to be known recently. Bhakta Leelamrit contains the fascinating life of Shri Sai described in 3 chapters, which the listeners can read for themselves. Similarly, chapter 57 of Santa Katamrit relates a highly instructive, interesting tale as narrated by Sai to a devotee. Moreover, Raghunath Savitri Bhajan Mala, authored by Raghunath and Savitri Tendulkar, written from the author's personal experience, is the form of padas and abhangas about the marvelous leelas of Sai, is the source of great peace and happiness. So here I would like to say a very small interesting thing. Raghunath Tendulkar and Savitri Bai Tendulkar are my Guruji's, Krishna Guruji's great grandparents. They lived with Baba and they served Baba. So they are the ones who have composed this Bhajan Mala, and it's a very beautiful thing. And if you can get this, please do check it out. Thank you. Out of an overwhelming love for Baba, a child of his, that is Hari, Sitaram Dikshit, has written a preface to this same Bhajan Mala, which is as a shower of nectar to the ever-thirsty Chakora, his devotees, and of which the reader should partake respectfully. Das Ganu's miscellaneous poems are also full of deep feeling and will gladden the hearts of readers as they read of Baba's Leelas in them. Amidas Bhavanidas Mehta too has narrated with great love and devotion some miraculous tales of Baba in Gujarati, especially for the Gujarati readers. Besides all these, some eminent Sai devotees have published from Pune a collection of Baba stories under the name Sai Prabha, so that when numerous such works are available, where is the need for this book? So the listeners may well question. Listen now to my reply. Sai's life is a great ocean, boundless, infinite, a mine of precious gems, which I, a tiny, titwig, lapwing bird, in endeavoring to empty. How can this ever come about? Sai's life is thus unfathomable, which it is just impossible to recount fully and satisfactorily. One should therefore be content to narrate as much of it as one can, and to the best of one's ability. Innumerable are the extraordinary stories of Baba which assuage the worldly sufferings of the afflicted, enthuse the listeners for more and more, and steady the minds of his devotees. The stories Baba narrated were varied, some of worldly wisdom, some of common experience, and those that explained his mysterious deeds. As the innumerable Vedic tales of divine origin are well known, so also were the numerous stories captivating and pregnant with meaning that Baba used to tell. And when listened to with undivided attention, hunger, thirst was forgotten, and inner contentment reigned supreme, so that all other pleasures appeared as straw. This is so very true. One of the most important thing is we must pay attention and listen to what is being narrated, because there is so much every verse or every word has a profound meaning with it, and this can only be understood when you're one with that teaching. One cannot understand if your mind is going to be constantly talking. So listen, do listen in and not just hear. Pay attention, be lost in this nectarine ocean of knowledge that you will be listening. There are wonderful stories about how Baba has imparted some of this profound knowledge to many people in their life. Some may strive to be one with the Brahman, some may work for proficiency in the eightfold path of yoga, yet others may seek the fullness of the bliss of samadhi. Listening to these stories, they will all get what they seek. That is so absolutely true. What your innermost being seek is what you will get. And not necessarily what one seeks is what somebody else gets it. It is what you truly seek, you will get it. As is your faith, so are your experiences. So have absolute faith. And Baba always teaches two beautiful words. One is Shraddha and Saburi. Have that faith and patience. These tales liberate the listeners from the bondage of their karma, bringing enlightenment to their minds and bring happiness to all without making any distinction. Hence, a wish arose in my mind to weave together a garland of these variegated tales so worthy of a collection, so as to make an offering to Baba. This, I felt, was the best form of worship. Even a few words of these stories, falling on the ear casually, are enough to make the misfortunes of a creature recede at once. If then the entire story is heard with reverence and faith, a simple trusting devotee will surely and easily cross the ocean of worldly life. Making me his instrument of writing, Baba will hold my hand to fashion the letters. I am but the instrument moving mechanically as Baba guides. Watching Baba's Leelas for years together, my mind kept toying with the idea fondly that Baba's tales may be collected together for the benefit of the simple and loving devotees. Those who have not had the actual darshan of Baba to pacify the eyes may at least gain some merit by listening to the stories of his greatness. It's your faith that you can experience Baba right where you are, and that is the power of faith. These stories will give you that power to be able to experience him in your own way. So let us pray to Baba that he gives us his beautiful experience of just having a dot of that knowledge or that beautiful nectar, what he's going to impart through his Leelas. And should a truly fortunate one feel the urge to read these stories, he will at least have the experience of joy and inner satisfaction on doing so. Such was the thought that came to my mind, which I conveyed to Madhav Rao Deshpande. But I still had my doubts whether I would be able to write a book. For I had already crossed the 60-year mark, and at 60, the wicked mind is more prone to create problems and obstacles. Moreover, feebleness of body might prevent a full-blooded effort, and all that would then remain would be an empty babble of words. And yet, rather than waste the effort on something meaningless and empty, it would far better be employed in Sai's service. It would at least make for some spiritual advancement, hence this yajna, that's effort. The thought came to my mind that I should write down an account of what I experienced by day and by night, a constant contemplation on which will bring peace and repose to my mind. I wish to present to the listeners those utterances of Baba which came repeatedly and with a natural ease were so firmly rooted in self-experience and brought satiety to the self. Many were the tales of wisdom that Baba narrated. Many devotees he guided to the path of bhajans. If I were to make a complete collection of these, it would become Sai Baba's Gatha, sacred poetic composition. Whoever narrates these stories and whosoever listens to them respectfully will both enjoy a rare peace of mind and repose. Listening to these tales, which came straight from Baba's mouth, the devotees will become oblivious of their physical sufferings, and as they meditate upon them constantly, they will be liberated automatically from the ties of the worldly life. So well said. In today's day and age, we're all running a rat race. We're all running behind the material gains. We're so lost in the mundane world. And especially with the current times, with pandemic, We don't know what to do. We have lost our sense of how do we behave, how do we speak. We're just irritated because we don't know how to adapt to what has happened today. We are seeing everywhere people are dying. We are fearful of whether I'm going to contract corona or not. I don't know. I'm afraid to go out. I'm worried. This is the feeling every man is going through today. Let's leave all that aside. Let's dwell and deep dive into this ocean of knowledge and attain that beautiful peace. Let's forget for one moment that we exist in this material world. Let's get lost much beyond the mundane world and see what happens. Come, join me and let's together hear and learn more from what Baba is going to teach us. And when I find someone narrating these stories without any pretensions to learning or virtue, I feel that even if I rolled in the dust at his feet, deliverance for me will be near at hand. The most remarkable style of presentation of these stories, as also the ingenious use of every word and phrase, holds the audience enthralled, bringing joy to one and all. As the ears thirst for the stories and the eyes long for his darshan, so will the mind transcend consciousness, being absorbed in divine concentration. My loving Guru is my mother. As his stories travel from person to person by the word of mouth, let us treasure them up in our ears with reverence. Let us bring the self-same stories to the mind again and again and store up as many as we can, binding them together in the ties of love. The treasure can then be shared with each other in profusion. In all this, nothing is mine. The impulse is wholly from Sainath himself. Whatever he prompts me to say, I say, you see. But then, to say that I speak is again my ego. It is Sai who really holds the strings, and it is he who moves my tongue to speech. Who am I to say that I speak? It's exactly what I'm feeling. Who am I to say I'm speaking? Why am I supposed to feel nervous? It is the Guru's grace who is, putting the words in my mouth. That's the power. So let us understand how the divine work. Why are gurus so important in life? Why do we say Guru is the doorway to God? Let us understand. Once the ego is surrendered at Baba's feet, boundless joy will ensue. As the ego is overcome, the whole life will be filled with happiness. When this idea occurred to me, I did have the opportunity, but not the courage, to put it to Baba. Suddenly, I saw Madhav Rao, and I at once conveyed my thoughts to him. No one else was around at that time, and Madhav Rao seized the opportunity and asked Baba, Baba, this Anna Sahib Dabolkar here says that he wants to write your life story to the very best of his ability, if you will but permit it. Do not say, I am but a beggar, begging alms from door to door, subsisting somehow on bread, with or without greens. Of such a one as me, why do you want to write a life story? It will only excite ridicule. Ridicule, for you are a diamond which must be set in a socket. If only you will give me permission and extend your help, the book will write itself, or rather you will get it written by me, by removing all the obstacles in the way. It's a very beautiful thing. The saints or the sages or the great masters, the Sadgurus, will never say that they are some great divine being. You will see them appearing as a most ordinary human being, yet they are the master of this universe. They are desireless being, and they serve this universe and their entire creation selflessly. And they are the ocean of compassion. They are the knowledge themselves. They are Sachidanand. So Baba was one of those divine beings who appeared so normal, like he was wearing a tattered or torn clothes. He was wearing a kafni. He never aspired for anything. All he did was serve this universe, serve the creation. He was but the tool of the Lord himself. Blessings of saints are in themselves the auspicious beginning of a book. While without your grace, no writing can progress smoothly. Reading my thoughts, Sai Samarth was moved by compassion and said, "Your wish will be fulfilled." I at once placed my head on his feet. Placing his hand of benediction on my head, he gave me Udi as prasad. Such is this Sai, well versed in all the systems of divine faith and the liberation of devotees from all the worldly ties. On hearing Madhavrav's prayer, Sai took pity on me and began instilling courage to calm my agitated, impatient mind. It's so profound. As I'm reading through this, it just feels that that's exactly what is happening to me, because it's my day too, and I'm not qualified enough to narrate anything from this. I can just read out, but I'm not capable of giving explanation. But no, it's my Guru's agya, his ordering. You need to give explanations. And let me tell you, I am nothing but mere an instrument in my Guru's hands. The words are of his wisdom, and that is the truth. Knowing the sincerity of my purpose, words indicative of his consent came from his mouth. Make a collection of all the authentic stories, experiences, conversations, and talks, etc. It is better to keep a record. He has my full support. He is but the instrument. I myself will write my own story. So Baba himself will narrate this for you and give you whatever the explanation that needs to come from my mouth. My own tale I shall narrate myself, and thus I shall fulfill the wishes of my devotee to write my life story. He should subdue his ego and offer it at my feet. He who conducts himself in this manner in life will not only get from me full assistance in the writing of the book, but I shall toil for him in every way. When ego and conceit are totally resolved, leaving not even a trace behind, it is then that I will dwell in him, writing the book with my own hand. When listening, reflection, or writing is begun with this thought, firmly governing it, then that work will be accomplished myself. While he, Dabolkar, will only be made my instrument. A record must, of course, be kept inside the house or outside or wherever else you may be. Think of me again and again, and you will enjoy peace. It is very important that we never bring in our mind, ego, or arrogance, because that is what will be the impediment on the path towards understanding the spirituality. So don't come here or don't listen with ego of knowledge or ego of arrogance. I know this or I know Baba. No, come with open heart, a childlike heart, and just listen and just be lost here. And together, let's dwell in the ocean, the nectarine ocean of Sachidanand. Listening to my stories, narrating them to others in a kirtan, contemplating on them will propagate love and devotion for me, which will destroy ignorance instantly. Wherever there is faith and devotion together, I remain enslaved forever. Have no doubt about this, but otherwise, I always remain unattainable. This is a very important lesson to understand. Faith and devotion. Two things are a must to attain the divine, to attain the Guru's grace. Because without faith and devotion, you cannot experience the divine. So please have faith and be devoted. And if you cannot do this, it has to come from your heart. You are not going to force yourself. But yes, you have to practice sitting and listening, but with absolute faith. Don't let your mind, say stories about it. Don't let your ego speak. Don't let your arrogance. And that is the root cause of why today a man or human being is bound in the material worldly bondage. They cannot go beyond the mundane world. When heard with virtuousness and a good feeling, these stories will generate devotion in the listeners' minds. Self-experience and bliss will follow them most naturally, and a state of perpetual joy will thus be attained. This is so true, and I have personally experienced this many a time. Here I will give you a very beautiful story that has happened to me in my own life. I was in Singapore and I was doing the same Parayan. And at one point in time, I asked my Guruji, Krishna Guruji, can I not experience Baba right here? You've given experience to many others. Why is that I can't experience Baba here? I did not go to Shirdi after 2009. And it was a sincere ask. I was seeking from my being, innermost being. And you wouldn't believe, at one point, when I least expected, I was sitting there and I was reading this Parayan, and suddenly I see Baba sitting right next to me. And to me, I was trying to figure out, is this a delusion or is this just the illusion of my mind? No, Baba was very much there. So it is your faith that you can make the divine come to you. And this is exactly what Baba is committing here. You can experience him when you have the pure heart, when you listen and have faith and devotion with the purest of your heart. So have that faith and you will experience Baba. When I say Baba, it's not just Baba. You can experience any divine being you aspire, which your innermost being wants to experience it. Such is the reward, the fruit of my stories. What else would one want? This is also the ultimate objective of the Shrutis, Vedas, and so by attaining this, the devotee will be enriched. Where contentiousness prevails, ignorance and Maya abound. There is no thought for deliverance, and the mind is continually engaged in malicious, misconceived speculation. Such a one is not worthy of self-knowledge. He is engulfed by ignorance alone. He can enjoy happiness neither on earth nor in heaven, everywhere, and at all times he is unhappy. So please, don't let your mind deceive you. Don't let your mind give you stories. Self-conceit will not take you anywhere. Don't tell your mind to shut up and just listen and listen from your heart. Not for us an obstinate maintenance of our point of view, not the refutation of another's point of view, nor yet the exposition of the two contrary viewpoints. Why all this futile, unnecessary effort? Exposition of the two contrary viewpoints was a phrase that reminded me of the promise I had given to my listeners earlier. At the time when the first chapter came to a close, I had promised the listeners that I will first tell them all the story of how the name Hemad was given to me. When this tale within a tale is heard, its appropriateness or otherwise can be determined and your curiosity will be satisfied. In fact, this is also prompted by Sai. Thereafter, the main story of Sai's life will be pursued from the point where it was left off. Hence, the listener should listen to the story attentively. How did Dabolkar get the name Hemad Panth? Let us now understand. Let us now listen to how did this name come about. At the end of every chapter, we hear of its being composed by devotee Hemad Panth. But who is this Panth? This question will naturally arise in the minds of the listeners. And to satisfy this curiosity, they should listen attentively as to how the name came to be given to the author. From birth to death, 16 purificatory rites of the human body have been prescribed in the Shastras, among which the naming ceremony is one that is well known to all. Listen carefully, O listeners, to a short tale about this, which will explain the naming of the author as Hemad Panth in its proper course. Mischievous as the present writer was by nature, he was too, and reviling and ridiculing, quite untouched by any knowledge or wisdom. He knew not the importance and greatness of a Sadguru, but was the very image of evil-mindedness, priding himself on his own wisdom and eager for argumentation. And yet, so powerful was his line of destiny that by sheer good fortune and despite his resistance, he had the darshan of Sai's lotus feet. Had it not been for his indebtedness from the preceding births to the great devotees Kaka Sahib Dikshit and Nana Sahib Chandorkar, could he ever have gone to Shirdi? Kaka Sahib kept on pressing me, and the visit to Shirdi was fixed. But on the very day of departure, the decision was suddenly reversed. This writer had a very close friend who, initiated by his guru, was a devoted Guru Putra. While at Lonavala with his family, he was caught up in a very strange situation. You need to understand one very important thing. You cannot ever meet the Guru or have his grace until you have your merits come into play, or you have already redeemed some of your sins. It is only at the God's appointed timing that you can meet the divine beings. It is not you who are going to meet him. It is the divine who is actually bringing you to him. So you always need to be understanding the fact that it is only the divine grace, the Guru's grace, the God's grace. It's nothing to do with you. But never lose that opportunity of meeting such a divine being, because it's only for very few. Those who have to listen to these words, or those who have to know Baba, or those who have to meet the divine being, or even get the divine understanding, can only happen with the divine grace alone. It's not because you wanted to go there. That's how the divine work. All human remedies were tried. At that place of such salubrious climate, his only son, who was strong, healthy and virtuous, caught high fever and fell ill seriously. All human remedies were tried. Charms and chants and religious rites were tried too. Even the Guru was called and made to sit at his bedside, but in the end, he gave the slip to everyone. At the critical juncture, the Guru was made to sit near him to avert the calamity. But everything was in a vain. Strange indeed is human life. Who is the son? Who's the wife? So many things happen just because of karma. Destiny, the result of our past karma, is inevitable. When I heard these sad tidings, my mind became dejected and agitated. Is this all the utility that a Guru has, that he could not even save an only son? Such overwhelming power of destiny and karma weakened my resolve for Sai's darshan and became an impediment to my visit to Shirdi. Why go to Shirdi at all? Just see the condition of my friend. Is this all the profit of a Guru's company? What can a Guru do before destiny? And please note that we always think meeting a divine being or a Guru or someone, the Sadguru or the master of this universe, means they have to solve our problems. I'm very sorry. That is not what they are meant to be here. Yes, the universe is always listening to what you seek, and you will be granted what you deserve or what is due to you. But it doesn't mean that you go to them with your stupid and mundane desires. A master or a Guru is there so that he can put the seekers on the path of spiritual. He can impart the knowledge of the self. But human beings are human beings. They are full of desires. All they want is they want to go with their, begging bowl, wanting to fulfill their mundane desires. Please don't do this. Don't go to a temple just because you want your laundry list of wishes being fulfilled. It's not what you go for. You go there because you seek God. Why leave your own place? Why run after a Guru? Why this love of inviting trouble in an otherwise happy existence? Let us endure whatever is preordained, be it pleasurable or distressing. What is the use of going to a Guru if the predestined cannot be averted? Man think that death can be averted or death can be moved. Yes, if it has to, the divine can do it. But why do we desire? This human body is just made of the 5 elements. It is born because we have come up with certain karmas. We have a purpose. We need to fulfill that and be very grateful for our life. But whatever we are suffering, we attribute that God has done something bad to us. Why don't we understand that it is our own karma because of which we are suffering? So stop blaming God or a Guru. And much as one may wish to the contrary, things, events will come about according to the merit or otherwise that one has earned. Nothing can prevent the working of a destiny. And it was this that ultimately dragged me to Shirdi. Nana Sahib Chandorkar, who was a sub-divisional officer, set out from Thane on a tour of Bassein and was waiting for his train at the Dadar railway station. There was an hour in between from the Bassein train to arrive, and he thought he should utilize this time for some useful purpose. Even as he got his impulse, a train going only up to Bandra came to the station, which he then boarded. On his reaching Bandra, I received a message from him and went to see him accordingly. He at once opened up the topic about Shirdi. So when do you propose to leave for Sai Darshan? And why all this slackness about visiting Shirdi? Why such delay in departure? How is it that there is no firmness of resolve in the mind? Nana's eagerness made me feel quite ashamed of myself. Very frankly, I then told him about the wavering in my mind. Upon this, Nana gave me very earnestly and lovingly a piece of sound advice. On hearing it, happily my desire to visit Shirdi was revived once again. Only after extracting from me a promise that I would start immediately did Nana go. I too then resolved to leave at once and went home. I then finished my packing, made all the necessary arrangements and set out on the same evening to go to Shirdi. Thinking that the evening mail will halt at Dadar, I paid the fare up to Dadar and bought a ticket. As I boarded the train, which was still at Bandra, a Muslim swiftly entered my compartment, even as the train was slowly moving out of the station. Like a fly in the very first mouthful, my buying a ticket up to Dadar seemed to augur ill for my journey, right at the start. Seeing all my luggage, "Where to this journey?" he asked me. So I said, "I will go to Dadar and catch a train to Manmad." He at once alerted me, "Do not get off at Dadar. The mail will not halt there. Go straight to Victoria Terminus." Had this warning not come in good time, I would not have been able to catch the train at Dadar. And then I know not what absurd ideas would have assailed the already wavering mind. But on that day, I was to seize that lucky chance and to go to Shirdi. Hence, all these intervening incidents took a turn favorable to me quite unexpectedly. We think that all these incidents that happens when we are going to meet a divine, or when we think, should we go, should we not, we have this doubt in our mind. We are not sure about it. We are making an effort, but then our mind stops and puts an impediment. These things have happened, not just to me, but many other devotees as well. You know what? If you have to visit and be there with the divine, the guru, wherever he might be, the true guru, he will make all the arrangements for you to come there. You think this person who said, "Do not get off at Dadar," wasn't Baba? So Baba uses any form to communicate, to ensure that your journey to reaching him is completely met, is happening. He will see to that you will come and finally meet him. So have that faith. Next day, I arrived in Shirdi at 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning. Bahu Sahib Dikshit had already been waiting for me there. It was in the year 1910 that this incident took place. Satewada was then the only place for the visitors to stay. As I alighted from the Tonga, my heart was so full of eagerness for Baba's darshan that I could hardly wait to fall at his feet. Waves of joy surged up in my heart. At that moment, Tatya Sahib Nulkar, one of Sai's great and well-known devotees, had just returned from the mosque and said to me, "Make haste and take darshan quickly. Baba, with his devotees, has already come to the corner of the Vada. Come as you are for a dhul bhet first, for he will then set out for the Lendi. Have a bath afterwards, and when Baba returns, then go to the mosque and have darshan comfortably once again." On hearing this, I rushed to the place where Baba was, and as I prostrated in the dust at his feet, I could hardly contain my joy. Nana Sahib had already told me about Baba, but personally, I saw so much more than that. With his darshan, I considered myself blessed, and the eyes had fulfilled their purpose. Never before had I heard of or seen Baba's comely figure. Seeing it now, my eyes were calmed, hunger, thirst, everything was forgotten, all senses stood still. This is what happens when you meet the divine, the great gurus, in their present. They are the ocean of compassion and love. You can find so much love, the energy, the divinity, that you're completely lost. You lose your existence of who you are or where you come from. It's a different experience. It's not in this realm at all. And that is what you can experience. The touch I experienced of Sai's feet, the kind enquiries that he made after me, were moments of highest plenitude in my life. My indebtedness will always and invariably be to those to whom I owe this saintly association, which has gladdened each and every part of my body. Only those who help spiritual progress are the true kith and kin. No other relatives can be like them. This is what I believe in my heart, and this is so very true. You can say you're born of your parents and you say they are my father, mother, and my brother, sister. But no, the real family of yours are those. The guru becomes your mother, father, everything. And your inmates, those who are on the spiritual path, are the real kith and kin, because they only care about your spiritual growth. They are not bothered about any other thing. So you became part of that Vasudev Kutumbam. So great is their obligation that I know not how I can repay them. So I only lower my head on their feet with reverence and with folded hands. I was blessed with Sai's darshan. All my doubts were resolved. To add to it, I had Sai's sacred company, and I experienced the highest joy. Such is the marvel of Sai darshan. His mere darshan is enough to bring about a total change in one's manner and conduct. Whatever of the past karmas has remained will be wiped out, and a loathing for sensual pleasures will gradually grow upon you. Sai's kindly glance destroyed the sins accumulated over my past births and gave rise to the hope that his holy feet will bring me eternal joy. It is so true. When you come in the company of the true saint, the guru, he's the supreme, he's master, he's the Sadguru. What happens is they remove all your desires. They burn them out. They remove your karma. But you need to surrender yourself. That is the most important. You need to commit yourself on the path of spiritual. It is self-effort. This doesn't come easy. It doesn't mean, oh, I go to a guru, I'll say, yeah, please wash off all my karmas. Sorry, sir, it doesn't work. You have to put your self-effort. You have to put so much effort in helping yourself. You have to follow the guru's instructions. You have to go on the path that the guru has put you on and do everything that the guru ordains you to do. And I think we will learn all of that in the next many chapters as we go on. And that's what you're going to understand. What is it means to be in spiritual? Because people have this weird idea that spirituality means it's like an escapism from the material world. Oh, I had a bad time. My life is going bad. Oh, can I go and join an ashram? Sorry, sir, doesn't work. Ashram is nothing, but it's not an escape mechanism to you. The real spirituality is something far greater than what you can understand, and that's what you're going to learn through this scripture. By great fortune, I have found Sai's feet, which are as the great Manas lake, which will transform me, a crow, into a swan. Sai is an acharya, a spiritual head, a great yogi, a paramahamsa, the most excellent among the saints, annihilator of all sins, sufferings and adversity that he is. Sai's darshan and his sacred company has purified me greatly. This meeting with Sai Maharaj was the fruit of my accumulated merit over several past births. Once the Sai pervades your vision, the whole creation appears to you as filled with Sai. On the very day that I arrived in Shirdi, an argument arose between me and Bala Sahib Bhate as to why one needs a guru at all. Why give up one's independence and voluntarily embrace subjugation to another? Where there is competence in the performance of one's duty, what is the necessity of a guru? Yeah, this is a very interesting topic, and it's a very debatable topic because not everybody understands why do you need a guru. Guru is the only one through whom you can attain the God. Guru is the doorway to God. And we also say that Guru Sakshat Para Brahma. You can understand the real meaning of these scriptures only when the real master himself expounds to you. When we say Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, means the Parabrahman, the Brahman, the God himself manifests in the form of a Guru to impart this knowledge. You cannot attain this knowledge by your scholarly studies. No. You have to get the exposition from the Guru. These scriptures are codices. It is not so easy. And this is something my Guruji has always said. Only a God can explain who a God is. Similarly, in the material world, if you want to become a CEO or you want to go to Harvard, only the CEO can tell you how to become a CEO, not anybody else. So know that somebody who has gone to Harvard can tell you how to get there, not anyone else. Likewise, only the God can tell you who a God is. So the Guru is none other than the God himself. So Guru is extremely important, and we will learn in the coming chapters why the Guru is so important. Each one must ultimately strive for himself, and if he doesn't, what can the Guru do? He who only stretches his limbs indolently without so much as lifting a finger, what can anybody give to such a one? Absolutely. The Guru can only show you the path, but the effort is yours. And you will understand why the self-effort is so important. Like we say, we can take the horse to the water, to the river to drink the water, but the horse has to drink the water. Similarly, you have to put your self-effort to evolve on the path of spirituality. This was the simple point of view I put forward. My opponents held a point of view exactly opposed to mine. Obstinate adherence to their own point of view on either side balanced equally, and so the controversy raged. The opposite side firmly held that, however proficient in Vedas a learned Pandit may be, without the Guru's grace, his deliverance would be confined only to the books. Absolutely true. You cannot get the real knowledge of the truth without the Guru expounding it to you, without the Guru initiating you on the path, and without the Guru showing you the path how to go and attain that Sachidanand. A fierce argument as to what is greater, destiny or free will, raged. When you lean so heavily on destiny, what can happen, said I. My opponents argued that whatever is to befall cannot be resisted. What is destined is just inevitable. The most conceited among the egotists have varied. Who can work against fate? You do one thing, the result is something else. Leave all your cleverness aside, but my ego would not accept defeat readily. I said, but how can you say all this? Human endeavor is power. What help can fate give to one who sits back lazily? Only by one's own efforts can one uplift oneself. The Smritis are proclaimed, and it is impossible that by ignoring this one should cross the ocean of this life safely. Actually, this is a very interesting argument. Why do you need Guru? Because if you put efforts, you can reach there. No. You need both. You have to put your self-effort on the same hand, not what the Shrutis are talking about. It is about what your Guru is imparting. The effort is to understand what your Guru is teaching and then putting that self-effort to go ahead in that journey. You have to follow your Guru's command, because the most important aspect of attaining spirituality is to give up your ego and arrogance. You have to overcome this mind, body, senses, all these tendencies, vasanas that you're carrying from so many lives of yours. The Guru purifies your heart and mind, and when the surrender is complete is when you attain the divine. Here one has to work for one's own salvation. Why then run after a Guru? How will it suffice just to have a Guru? Unless one is watchful of one's own interests. What siddhi, what success can a Guru give to the fool who has thrown away his discriminating between right and wrong, intellect, the means for achieving his end and his own self-purification? This debate remained inconclusive. Nothing fruitful resulted from it. If anything, I lost my peace of mind in the bargain. That is all I gained. Arguing in this manner, where neither side showed the least sign of exhaustion, 3/4 of an hour passed by, so that at last an end was put to it. Later on, when we, along with others, went to the mosque, just listened to what Baba and asked Kaka Sahib, "What was going on in the Vada? He said. What was all that dispute about? And what was this Hemad Pant saying? He looked pointedly at me as he said this last. Now, between the Vada and the mosque, there is a considerable distance. How then did Baba know about this incident? Baba is all-knowing. A guru is all-knowing. I was quite astonished in my mind. All the same, I was struck dumb by these piercing words and hung my head in shame that I should have behaved with such impropriety in the very first meeting. This name Hemad Pant, which Baba gave me, was, I felt, the direct result of the morning's heated disputation, and I made a mental note that it must have been that incident which reminded Baba of Hemad. The great Yadav kings of Devgiri were the same as the Yadavs of Daulatbad, and the prosperity of their kingdom in the 13th century had much enhanced the glory of Maharashtra. One of their kings, Mahadev by name, was a valorous and mighty sovereign. Equally famous was his nephew for his valor and virtuous deeds. This latter, Ramaraja by name, was a crest jewel in the crown of the Yadav dynasty, as Hemadri, a man of many parts and exemplary qualities, was a minister to them both. Author of a treatise on Dharmashastra, a most munificent benefactor of the Brahmins, Hemadri was the earliest composer to arrange systematically a code of conduct which was consistent with Shrutis and Smritis. Hemadri also wrote a book called Chaturvarga Chintamani, which discusses in detail in the 4 chapters on religious vows and observances, charity pilgrimages, and moksha or salvation. Such was his famous composition. Hemadri Pant of the Sanskrit language becomes Hemad Pant in the Prakrit Marathi language. He became well known in those days as a great statesman, proficient in statecraft. But his line of descent, Gotra, was from Vatsa, mine from Bharadwaj. His lineage, Pravara, had 5 exalted persons, mine had 3. He was Yajurvedi and I was Rigvedi. He was well versed, whereas I was an ignoramus. He belonged to the Madhyandin branch of Yajurveda, I to the Shakala branch of Rigveda. He was learned in Dharmashastra, but I was wild, incongruous. He had learning and wisdom, while I was an inept fool. Why then this undeserved title to me? He was a seasoned politician, a shrewd statesman. I was dull-witted and of little understanding. He was famous for Rajya Prashasti, his poetic composition in Sanskrit, whereas I was incapable of even a simple verse. An adept that he was in the art of living, I was an ignorant fool. He was learned, being proficient in Dharmashastra, but my understanding was very limited. Lekhan Kalpatru is his collection of many and variegated poems, and I, Baba's ignorant child, cannot even compose a simple verse. This was the period when Gora Kumbar, Chokha Mahar, Swata Mali, and Nivrittinath, Jnaneshwar, Namdev, and other promoters of Bhagavad Dharma had come up on the horizon. See, we always believe that we can judge ourselves. One of the most important lessons to understand here is you are nobody to judge yourself. The only divine can judge who you are. If he is going to bring you to himself, he knows how to fix you as well. So that is his job, not your job to judge. So neither judge about yourself nor others too. In the same royal court, which was adorned by learned gems like Pandit Bopa Dev, Hemad Pant took his seat and earned fame among the learned and the talented. Thereafter, Muslim armies invaded the Deccan from the north, spreading themselves out everywhere. And that was the end of the rule of the Deccan rulers. But this title, no doubt a tribute to my cleverness, was not conferred on me without a purpose. These incisive words were aimed at my contentious nature and to shatter my egotism. Strutting around with my meager knowledge, mine was but an empty babble. But Baba opened my eyes. to my inadequacy of knowledge by the timely collyrium of admonition. However, as stated earlier, the name so significant and so well timed, which came from Sai's mouth, I accepted as an ornament. What the Guru says, why they say, you would have never ever imagined. You can never ever imagine, and you cannot have any idea about it. So always understand that any word that comes from the Guru's mouth is the gospel truth. It is Guru Mukh, is Guru Bani. The word of the Guru is the gospel truth, and that is the ultimate truth. So never go by judging what the Guru is saying. Even if he's joking, it is profound. There is a huge significance or a teaching that is imparting through the joke. So never underestimate the power of the Guru. This name must have been given to me so that I may shed my conceit and about my argumentative power, and that I may remember to my dying day to be always humble. Even Shri Ram, the son of Dashrath, who was an incarnation of God, of knowledge itself, and a savior of the universe on whom the sages meditate all the time, even he used to catch the feet of his Guru, Vashishta. Shri Krishna was the comely form of the Brahman himself, but even he had to take a Guru and brave great hardships, carrying logs of wood in the house of his Guru, Sandipani. Compared to them, who am I? Why then argue and debate at all? There is no knowledge without the Guru, nor deliverance. This enunciation of the Shastras was thus firmly fixed in my mind. Know for sure that even when the divine manifest or take an incarnation, they will have to meet their Gurus to evolve on the path of spiritual. When you don a body, you have to go through the Guru to get the knowledge and then evolve beyond. Without a Guru, you can never attain God. So great divine beings like Ram or Shri Krishna, they also had their Guru, and which is what is mentioned here. So never forget that. Contentiousness is not good, nor so is the desire to vie with others. If there is no implicit faith and courage and patience, spiritual progress cannot be made in the least. Very important. Never argue with a Guru. Never try to show you know too much. Never show your ego, or don't even question why a Guru is doing what is doing. Please, you don't have that knowledge. The Guru has the knowledge of the truth, the real knowledge, which is priceless. So be humble, be kind, show humility, and surrender at his feet. Become subservient at the feet of the Guru so that the knowledge can open up within yourself. The Guru can impart the knowledge. You have to become the sponge and absorb what he's imparting to you. So learn, shut your mouth and learn. In the days that followed, I myself experienced this. In this way, with love, with a good feeling and a pure heart, I humbly accepted the name as an honor. But now let this story, which refutes the idea of my party and the other party, which ends all argument and counter-argument and is equally instructive for all, be set aside. And so, I have now narrated the purpose of the book, for whom it is meant, its connection with the subject, and also the naming of the author as Hemad. But now, enough of the lengthening of this chapter. Later on, Hemad will offer humbly at Sai's feet other detailed stories in their proper order. Listen attentively. O listeners, Sai alone is our prosperity. Sai is our total consciousness of bliss. He alone is our lasting detachment from worldly afflictions. And even our ultimate refuge is none but Shri Sai. Be all ears to Sai's story. By his grace alone can the fear of worldly life be overcome, and the wicked sinful desires of this Kali Yuga can be totally destroyed. We'll build to all. Here ends the second chapter of Shri Sai Satcharita Satcharita, called The Purpose of the Book, naming of the author, as inspired by the saints and the virtuous and composed by his devotees, Hemad Pant. Thank you, and I'm sorry for having exceeded the time. And thanks for all listening in. Stay tuned. Let's do the next chapter tomorrow. Same time, not same time, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Thank you. Om Shri Mahaganapate Namaha. Om Shri Gurudev Datta. Om Shri Sachidananda Sadguru Sainath Maharaj Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Digambara Shripad Vallabha Digambara. Om Shri Krishna Guru Nathanataya Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Devi Durgaya Namaha. Om Shri Krishna Arpanam Namastu. Krishnam Vande Jagat Guru.